And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly mini-sode where we dig into things that we've been watching and or playing recently. Maybe more, I don't know. I'm Terry.
I'm Mary Beth, and this week we're chatting about a digital haunted house story, monster killing, a divorce drama we haven't seen before, Victorian-era allegories for gay conversion camps, and a bleak Jake Gyllenhaal movie. And also, I'm talking about books, too, so we got some books in there.
There we go. Reading, playing, watching.
Look at us. Look at us reaching out of movies.
Also, if you are a Patreon subscriber, the Seltzer for Life is out there for you already. And then again, just as a reminder, next week we will have our new Fresh Wounds episode where we're covering Inside. So
yet another long episode.
It was a long episode. It was longer than the movie, but it was a good conversation.
It is. And again, if y'all like hearing us talk for long periods of time, those are really good episodes to listen to because we go 2-ish hours talking about weird cinema. So give those a listen and become a subscriber because I think it's really good content. I'm biased, but
all right. Yeah, let's start with the digital haunted house story.
Okay, so this is a book that's coming out in August. I got an advanced reading copy of it. This is the new book is actually a new Nick Cutter book, who wrote The Troop. This is his new book that he co-wrote with Andrew F. Sullivan, who wrote The Marigold, called The Handyman Method. And I just finished it last night. I read like 200 pages in like a big chunk, in one sitting. And I didn't go to bed till late last night because I got really sucked in to this story, which is basically like Amityville horror meets cosmic horror meets YouTube algorithms.
Wow.
So the whole premise follows this family. Trent is the father, Rita is the mother, and Milo is the son. They move into this new house in this new complex. It's like a new housing development, and they have the first house in this housing development. They got a really good deal on it. Trent just is taking leave from his job at a law office where he works with his wife Rita after a traumatic event. And so he is feeling kind of emasculated by not having a job and his wife being the breadwinner. So he starts repairing the house and finding ways to fix things in the house that like are already falling apart. And so he goes onto YouTube and finds this guy named Handyman Hank who has like a DIY YouTube channel. But as he's watching these videos, they get more and more sinister. And on top of that, Milo, their son, is watching these YouTube videos on his iPad, and I think it's Little Boy Bluey is like the character that he watches. And Little Boy Bluey is really sweet until he starts like giving Milo some ideas of weird things to do. Like building these weird mechanisms to find weird things in the forest and behind the house. And so it's this like super weird haunted house story that also has a lot to do with like digital horror, but also is this really interesting like personification of toxic masculinity and perpetuating toxic masculinity with 2 scenes that, and for a Nick Cutter book, only 2 scenes that made me feel this way is like pretty tame, but 2 scenes that made me actually nauseous, like feel nauseous. I am more prone to feeling nauseous when I read horror versus when I watch it. Something about reading the words and like visualizing them in my own way, it makes me even like more uncomfortable. But I love that. And it's something I'm learning about myself more and more with each weird book I read. But I just really liked it. And it's a really interesting melding of the two of their writing styles. I'm not as familiar with Andrew F. Sullivan, but I know that The Marigold is supposed to be a really good like eco horror book, and I know Nick Cutter, and it melds their styles really well. You can't really tell who is writing what, and it's a really awesome melding of their styles. So it's got this really interesting like cosmic horror, cerebral stuff going on, while some really grounded body horror, and they're just like working really well together to create this super bizarre version of a haunted house story that I really, really loved. So that's out on August 8th, and I highly recommend reading that, especially if you are a fan of Nick Cutter. There is a scene with a very graphic animal death. I will warn everybody. That was one of the things that made me feel ill. He's really good at animal deaths, apparently. Yeah. But I really, really enjoyed it. I've been reading a lot of queer horror, so like reading to, not to presume anyone's identities, but like seemingly like just like cis white guys. I was like, but then they do a really good job at interrogating toxic masculinity and like looking at it as this like super toxic thing. And I really like it.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the Handyman Method, which will be out August 8th.
You know, I've been kind of hit or miss with Nick Cutter, but I do like, I really like The Troop, and then I think there was a book he wrote. I think it's called, was it The Deep?
Yeah.
The Deep, which I really liked, and then I started reading one of his newer books, and I had a hard time getting into it. But this sounds really interesting.
Yeah, and I think some of the things you might not like about Nick Cutter, Andrew F. Sullivan kind of balances out with his style, and I like his
Gotcha.
style a lot. So
Oh,
I'd
it was
highly
Little Heaven.
recommend.
I couldn't get into Little
Oh,
Heaven.
interesting. Someone recommended that to me the other day, or I think
I was having a
today.
hard time. Hard
Okay.
time getting into that one, but
Okay.
this sounds really cool. I like the
Yeah.
cover.
Yeah. It's weird. It's really good. So yeah, I would recommend seeking that out if
Oh
you're
yeah.
into like haunted house stuff with some gore. You know, Kate, that's fair. That's definitely fair. It's only for about 2 pages if you want to skip it.
The
But
animal
I
stuff.
also understand, yeah. Sorry, yeah. Kate said I can't do animal harm. It's only a couple pages, and that's the only part, and it's not like super integral to the plot. Like it's an important moment, but if you just know that the animal dies and then you get past it, I think you'll be fine skipping it. Because it's pretty bad. It's pretty gross. It goes on for a long time. I was like, good lord.
Jeez.
Yes. I really
Sounds a
liked
little
it, but I
excessive.
understand that if it is something, if you do not like animal death, then it is not something you want to read. And Kate, if you end up buying it and want me to let you know which pages, I can let you know too. But yeah, so that is my digital haunted house story. But then what about monster killing?
So, kind of continuing on with this sort of gross nature, I have been obsessed with Diablo IV. I've been playing it
Yes.
a lot.
Uh-huh.
Uh, a lot, a lot. It's one of those games where I lose track of time while playing it, and before I know it, 4 hours have gone by, and my numb hand is like screaming at me to stop playing. Uh,
Your poor body is like, Terry, this is the last thing you should be doing. And you're like, fuck you. You'll be fine.
exactly, exactly. It's but so if you have not played a Diablo game, it is like a top-down action role-playing game where you pick a character class. This one has 5 of them. I'm playing a necromancer on one character and a sorcerer on another one.
Mm.
And you basically, it's like a loot based game where you basically go out and you do quests, you kill things, you get better loot, you replace your stuff, you learn skills, you go do more. This one has a little bit more of an interesting story that I wasn't expecting from, because I'm usually like the first
Oh.
to skip, 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 skip. But this story has
Oh.
been really interesting to me so far, where it starts out where you're cold and you're alone and you stumble upon a town and they've got someone tied up and they're like, this person went into the mines or to this ruins ahead of us and came back gone mad, and he's trying to attack everybody, and they're asking if you could go help clear out the place for them. You go do it. You come
Nah. No, thank you. I'm
you
okay.
come well, you probably shouldn't have listened to them, because you come back and
I'd
they're
be the most
like,
boring monster hunter. I'd be like, no. Nah.
they
Anyway.
throw a celebration for you. There's a lot of drinking and dancing, and then before you know it, you've been drugged and you're being carted off to some place where they have bodies hanging from the ceiling, and there's piles of intestines and gross stuff, and they feed you these blood petals that are from this god, or this evil goddess, demon maybe, I guess, called Lilith, who is a queer
Okay.
icon. I'm going to say she's a queer icon right now. She is giving a lot of realness in her big horns and her commanding persona, and I love her. I love her very much. I don't want to kill her because I think she is fabulous. She is working it. And then it goes from there, and it is a lot of fun.
Hell
And
yeah. Did you play all week? You played all weekend, right? Or a lot of this
yeah,
weekend?
I played a lot
Yeah.
this weekend. I've been playing with friends. I played with some friends last night on my necromancer character. Yeah, this is going to be my obsession, and it couldn't have come at a worst time with like covering festivals and Final Fantasy 16 coming up at the end of this month. But here I am, living my best life, killing demons.
That sounds great. How level have you gotten to?
So I have my sorcerer is at level 28, I think. And then I have two necromancers. I started one and then I stopped playing it because my friends were going to start playing, and I was like, well, if I want to play with them, necromancer is the class I want to play the more of. So I have two characters. I have a necromancer 28, a sorcerer at 28, and then a new necromancer at 10, and I'm going to continue with the necromancer and my sorcerer.
Did you do like that race to 100 or whatever? Did you try to do that, or did you like not even try? Okay.
I don't have the time or the patience to race through the game. So I'm not even worried about that. One of the things I do like about this is that it has cross-play. So like everyone is on the same server. So my friends are playing on PlayStation can play with me while I'm playing on PC.
Oh shit! I love that. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So if anyone is if I know anyone that is playing it and wants to be friends with me, just let me know and we can figure that out because I'm having a blast with it. I'll let
Steve know if he starts playing it. I'm not sure if he's going to play it or not, but I'll tell him.
I think this so far has been my favorite of the Diablos. I'm really enjoying it. It's doing a lot of things right.
I have never played them, but like they seem like they would be my shit. I just haven't like put in the time, and I also don't have any software. I guess I could play it on the PS5 now because I never really had anything to play it on.
There's couch co-op, so you could be playing it with Steve and also playing online with people, because that's what my friends in New York are doing right now. They're both on a PlayStation 5, and I'm playing on PC, and we're grouping together. So, just tossing that out there.
Well, that's very good to know. Steve, hello, can you buy...
But yeah.
Very tangentially related to video games, Steve started playing Hades, and I was so behind. I tweeted about this. So behind how hot everyone is in that game. Holy shit. Smoking. Like voice acting and the art design. Jesus Christ.
Zag's voice actor.
I can't.
I just want to.
Steve's playing it, and I'm just like,
smooch that voice.
Whose voice is floating through my apartment? Anyway.
And he's bisexual. Zagreus?
Yes!
He's bisexual.
I love it. You love to hear it. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride, indeed.
Happy Pride.
I love that game. I'm very excited for the sequel.
I know. I knew about it, but I didn't fully realize how beautiful it was. And Anyway, this is not about Hades, but I just wanted to bring up how hot everyone was in that game really quick.
I'm always willing to talk about how hot Zagreus is and his boyfriend Thanatos.
Oh my god, I literally, when they first started talking to each other, I'm like, so are they fucking or what? Steve was like, Mary Beth. I'm like, well, did you hear that sexual, like, that one conversation I heard? Charged.
So charged. Yep. Yeah, you can romance him. He's one of the romanceable people.
That makes me very happy to know. I might just play that game for that. I think you're
so right. For a while, it was like, this is the Thanatos game. I'm going to see how much it takes to be able to, like, get some smooching done with him.
I'm playing this solely for smooches. Smooches only. All of my video games should let me smooch somebody. Okay, anyway.
I agree. All right. Victorian era allegories for conversion camps. This sounds interesting and also terrifying.
Yeah. So I talked about Hell Followed With Us on the podcast, right? That book that I read about angels. Mm-hmm. So this is Andrew Joseph White, that author's new book, The Spirit Bears Its Teeth, which also I got an advanced reading copy of. It's going to be out this fall. Y'all, I'm fucking reading like a maniac. It feels real good.
You sure are.
I'm really happy. I'm really happy about it. I feel very creative. I tweeted about this. I feel like much more creatively inspired now that I'm doing some more reading, which is very nice. Just having more variety. But it's just been nice. And I've been so excited for this book in particular because Hell Followed With Us, like, was so specifically tailored for my bullshit with, like, queer body horror apocalypse where our main character is a trans person transforming into a biblically accurate angel. Like, I could not even write something more appropriate for me.
That is you to a T right there.
So when I heard about his newest book, I was so excited to read it. I love the way he writes his characters. And this one is very different, but I'm really, really liking it, but it's much sadder. It takes place it's historical horror fiction. It takes place in London, 1883. But in this society, they've discovered that the veil between the living and the dead is thinned. Like one day, all of a sudden, women and men were born with violet eyes and they could see into the veil, which is like the other world. And this led to the creation of the Royal Speaker Society, who becomes an incredibly oppressive regime that says women are not allowed to be mediums. Women who try to use their powers get punished or killed. And women are typically
says typical.
I say women here, but it's not the right word because young girls as young as 14 are then married off to older men because women who have violet eyes, who are seers, they're called speakers. They are coveted by men because it continues the bloodline and are more likely to create speakers. And so in all of this mess, there is Silas, who is a trans man, but he has not transitioned. He is autistic, and he is trying very hard to escape this world where he is going to be married off and made to have babies when he is not a woman, but the world still sees him as a woman. And so when he tries to escape early on, he is sent to a special school for girls with veil sickness. And they want to cure him so he can marry his betrothed. And so it is his, basically, it's heavy. It's very heavy, but it's really well written. And I love it, but it's very heavy. It is YA technically, by the way. Goodness. And so it's sad. Like it's very heavy and very much about like very like really shitty queer experiences, and it is very much like a conversion camp allegory, and about about like men in power telling women and gender non-conforming people how to live their lives. And it's real, but I really love it. And again, it is not for everybody because of the subject matter, but he handles it so well because White is a trans man and he's an autistic trans man, and so he writes these characters so well and makes them so compelling. And the mysteries he creates are so sad, but they're so compelling because his characters are trying to fight against like hegemony and patriarchy under dire circumstances. So I'm about halfway through it. I have almost cried reading it in public, like on a bus. I was running errands and I was reading part of it and I was just like, this is a lot. So that is out in the fall. I'm not quite sure of the date yet. So if that sounds appealing to you, again, it is much, and I haven't gotten to some of the gorier parts yet. I know that there are some really gory parts in it that involve surgery because Silas wants to be a surgeon. Yeah, it's a lot.
It sounds like a lot. I've been meaning to read that first book because you talk so highly of it. I need to make more time to read, Mary Beth.
I know, that's my thing. Like, I haven't been watching as much because I've been reading. But, like, it's kind of nice because I'm giving I know I'm not giving my eyes a rest, technically, but, like, I'm reading The Spirit Bears Its Teeth on my phone because that's a digital advanced reading copy. But, like, I've been trying to read, like, physical books, so I'm not looking at screens as much. And, like, I'm also trying to, like, fix my bedtime, like, my sleeping schedule, because I'm a night owl. So I'm, like, trying to read more before bed rather than, like, staring at TikTok so I can actually, like, kind of turn off my brain. I don't know. I don't know how long this is going to last, but I like it right now, and I have the biggest pile of books I need to read right at my bed. So hoping this trajectory continues.
Yeah, I need to really embrace that trajectory as well. I have so many books that I bought at San Francisco when we were there that I have not even opened yet.
I only read one of those.
I brought one to work so I could read at lunch, and then I haven't had time to like read at lunch. I'm gonna
take a picture of my TBR pile. My TBR pile isn't even my full TBR pile, but it's the one I've decided to create to like get me to start.
It's the start. It's your starter.
It's the starter. Hey, I've gotten 3 things out of it recently, so that's better than I've done in a while. I'm trying to. I'm telling myself I cannot buy more books until I like make a big chunk in it. Like I just have to read this shit. I need to stop.
I should.
And then I buy things on my Kindle, and I'm like, it doesn't count. It's not taking up space.
I should make that pact interact with movies.
Ah! I have the
This
same. Oh, I also have that pile. Oh my god, Terry, that's incredible.
one pile. Like, so I've read some of them or seen some of them, but this is
Oh my god, Terry.
this is
What
one
is our
pile.
what is wrong with us? I see Dead and Buried in there. You've seen Dead and Buried.
Yeah, no, I bought so like they had one of the sites was having like a really
Oh,
good
was it the Arrow Easter sale?
clearance sale, or it was like MVD or something like that. It's
Oh,
like
oh, oh, oh.
they were doing like a Blue Underground sale. So like some of these I've seen, like Dead and Buried and Zombie and whatnot, but and Wild Things. I had to get that because it's
Duh.
Wild Things. But yeah,
Wow.
they're just piles of these growing. So I feel you on the book front.
Just to give everyone, oh god,
It's not a
Jesus.
pile anymore.
I'm gonna, yeah, one day I'm gonna die under like a pile of my own books or DVDs. I swear to God. This is coming out September 5th. Everybody.
Okay.
I just got the date confirmed. So I cannot wait to get a physical copy because this is one of those books that I want to like
cover-
tab. And
Well,
like,
the cover
read and shit.
on that first one was really cool too. Like,
And the
has
Spirit
good
Bears Its
covers.
Teeth cover is really cool too. I do not know if it is the same illustrator, but it looks like the same illustrator in terms of the style. And also, Andrew Joseph Wood is now working on another novel, but I think it's for adults. Not that it matters, because like his two YA books have been incredible, but he's working on an adult novel right now, or adult like general fiction. So I'm very excited. He's a big name to watch, I think. If you like queer horror, he's one of the big ones out there to pay attention to. So that is The Spirit Bears Its Teeth, everybody.
What a great title.
It's so fucking sad. I was reading it today, like, for a little bit before I took a nap, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this book just keeps getting bleaker and bleaker. When is that? Like, is there going to be... Not that his books are happy, but there's usually, like, a little glimmer, so I'm waiting for that, because I'm like, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, this is fucking depressing. But it's written really well. A divorce drama we haven't seen before? Swinging wildly away from this topic?
So this is premiering at Tribeca, and this isn't a review. I want to be clear because we're not allowed to have reviews yet, so I'm not reviewing this. But it is coming out. It is playing at Tribeca the day after this episode comes out, and I want to alert people that if you are able to go to Tribeca, this is one I would really recommend seeing. It's called Our Son, and it stars Billy Porter and Luke Evans as a married couple who have a 8-year-old son that they had through one of Luke Evans's friends, his character's friends. He got her egg and then his semen, and then they had a surrogate do it. So he's the biological father technically, and then Billy Porter is his husband, and they're raising this kid. And Luke Evans has a very high profile job. He works at a book publishing. He's like constantly busy trying to get authors. They have a really nice home. He is the obvious breadwinner. Billy Porter's character was once an actor, but kind of failing at it. And the moment that their son was born, he decided to be a stay-at-home dad and take care of the kid, take him off to school, do the grocery shopping, the cooking, all of that kind of at-home type work. And we're now 8 years into the son's life, and there's a lot of simmering tension between the two dads, particularly with Billy Porter's character, who feels as if he is the only one that really cares about the kid because Luke Evans is always gone working. Mm-hmm. We find out at the very beginning Billy Porter has had an affair with someone, and he's telling his husband about it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and he says that he's not happy, and he hasn't been happy for a while. And then he serves Luke Evans' character divorce papers because he says he's not happy in this relationship. And then becomes the custody battle for their kid because Luke Evans is the biological father of it and is also has a really high-powered job and is making all the money, whereas Billy Porter does not have a job, has not worked for at least 8 years, has a very big gap on his resume. And so it becomes like a big battle between the two of them. But what I really like about this movie is that it humanizes both of these characters to the point where you can see them at the same time. Almost you can see them both as the hero and the villain of this story. And so it isn't, we're in both of these characters' heads. It's not a one-sided story that I've seen so much where one character is sort of like the I can't believe this person's divorcing me and my life is now ruined type of thing. We're following both of them in this very nuanced and authentic feeling moment of decoupling and what that looks like for characters that are deeply love each other. Luke Evans his character is just blindsided by the divorce and everything. And we can kind of see that they both have their issues. Billy Porter's cheated. They said they weren't going to do an open relationship. And if they were going to have one, they would talk about it. And Billy Porter didn't. Meanwhile, Luke Evans is kind of that distant father. And so this kind of tackles that, but as well as the idea that neither of them, and a lot of gay men, particularly around their age and around my age, did not have necessarily the best father figures. And so this idea of like generational kind of, I guess generational trauma in some way is sort of like creating their situation again among their son. And so it's this very emotional look. I cried. It's very well done. And I really enjoyed it. So if you are able to go see this at Tribeca tomorrow, it's playing on Saturday the 10th, I would really recommend going to see this one. It was really, really moving and really well done and very nuanced.
Yeah. And again, like, we don't see queer stories like this. And I'm really happy that every year I feel like festivals are showing more and more nuanced queer stories, which took fucking long enough. Wasn't it like Kids Are All Right? Was that one? It was the Kids Are All Right. I'm trying to remember, like, that was a while ago, and I also don't remember liking that movie very much, but I cannot remember for shit.
What I remember about that is that it centered more on the male character as opposed to
like their sperm donor, I think, is who they talk. Whatever. Regardless, it's really that vaguely reminded me of Passages, like what you're talking about, like what this Passages was like at Sundance. And I'm also excited to see Billy Porter in a more grounded role. I feel like a lot of the time he's used to be like a flamboyant presence, so very much like a bombastic presence, which is like he's really good at that. But I'm really excited that he's getting more like grounded, dramatic roles to show him off as an actor who isn't just like always that, like, you know, he's always kind of framed as like a gay guy. You know what I mean? Like, well,
he is.
He's always in like an outfit.
Yes, he lives his life too. The roles that he plays, but then also living his life is very much that kind of camp aesthetic, or the big kind of elegant, like just boisterous and larger than life. And he is very grounded in this and very subdued. And it really shows off his acting a lot more than anything I've ever seen him in.
Oh, that makes me so happy because
he's really good in this.
He's really good in Pose because like he has that, like those moments on Pose where he is like a campy character, but he also has some really awesome grounded moments in Pose because his character is so sad. So I'm really excited that he gets to be in this more grounded role, and people can see him as more.
It was really good. I really, really recommend it. So go check that one out if you're able to at Tribeca. Although with the way the weather has been with the smoke and stuff coming down, I guess it's probably not a great place to be for. But all right, boy, this one bleak Jake Gyllenhaal movie. I know what movie this is because you tweeted about it, and I've not seen it, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
So this is Prisoners. This is not a new movie. This is the 2013 Denis Villeneuve, sorry if I said it wrong, film starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman. I have wanted to watch this for a long time. I had like heard a lot of really good stuff about it. And over the weekend at like midnight, I thought, let's just start it. It's a 2.5 hour long movie. So like I decided that was the right time to start it. When I tell you that this movie does not feel like that long at all, it is so well paced. Like, this is a movie that deserves its runtime, I think. I did not feel it because it's got like kind of smatterings of Zodiac in it.
Okay.
It's not necessarily, it's not like based on anything, but it follows Hugh Jackman plays Keller Dover. His daughter and her friend go missing. Her friend is the daughter of Viola Davis and Terrence Howard. The families are best friends, and on Thanksgiving the girls go outside and then they're never to be seen again. And so this follows them trying to find the daughter, and Jake Gyllenhaal is the police detective who is lead on the case, trying to find them. And he supposedly has like 100% success rate. He has solved all of his cases. And so he is trying to figure out what happened in terms of like, I'm a cop, I have to follow a certain protocol. And then Hugh Jackman's character goes all vigilante fucking justice and wants to figure it out on his own. So it's like these two guys trying to get justice, and it's fucking bleak, but incredibly well acted, incredibly well done. This is the kind of movie that like sets up a lot of things and doesn't necessarily give you all the answers, which to me, as someone who's a big lore person, and frustrates me simply because I just love that stuff, but I think it's purposefully vague. It's left so purposely vague. So like, I appreciate it. I just am a little baby and want more information, but it's worth a watch. It's on Netflix. It's like the #1 thriller on Netflix right now. It is very bleak. A lot of it is about children abductions and child predators. So like really talking about some really happy shit this week. But it is incredibly well done. The violence in it is really upsetting, which is like hard for me to, like, it's difficult for me to say after a lot of the shit I've watched, but it's so real because this is like real people who are very desperate and do things that are really fucked up in the name of what they think is right. Yeah, it's a lot. It is, again, a very heavy watch. It is and it's 2.5 hours. But if you are feeling like a good, like, true crimey-esque fiction movie that like is really tense and creepy and weird, and it also is kind of like the first season of True Detective.
Okay.
I would, yeah, it's very much like the first season of True Detective. So,
well, you've had a heavy week. I'm just looking back at the stuff that you talked about. Heavy week.
I watched another thing that I can't talk about that was heavy too, and I was like, makes you think.
Wow.
What can you do?
Boy, Denis and Jake were having a moment because, I was thinking, I always remember that I've not seen this movie nor this other movie I'm going to mention, but I know they came out within like 6 months of each other, and Prisoners and Enemy were both a Denis Villeneuve movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal. So they're having a little moment there.
Yeah, I haven't.
And they came out within 6 months of each other.
Yeah, I haven't seen Enemy yet. I get those two mixed up because they are the two.
I do too. I had to go look them up.
Shocking. No one but I think they are very different movies.
Yeah, one of them ends with like giant spiders or something.
So I thought that was this one. It's not.
So it must be Enemy, I guess. I don't know if that's a spoiler.
I was trying to watch the one with spiders, and I fucking didn't pick the right one. Still loved it, and I wanted to see both, so like it really wasn't, but it was funny because I was like, I don't think this is the one I thought it was.
Yeah, I had to go look up because I was like, I remember both of these coming out around the same time, and I was like, I can never remember which one is which, so I had to go like look up the plot synopsis for both as you were talking.
Well, and like both of them, people are like, don't read anything about it, so I was like, well, wherever I land, I'll have a good time. So
there you go.
I really like his work. I love I love Arrival. I love Blade Runner 2049. I loved Dune. Kate, I'm also excited for Dune Part 2.
I'm very excited.
Timmy the twink rides a sandworm. He rides the worm. That's all I want.
Me too.
I just want to watch Timmy ride a worm. It's the best part of the I don't know. That to me is just like the craziest part, not the craziest part, but like of the book / of like the movies is just like, oh, and by the way, they fucking have to ride a giant worm. And also fucking, I don't want to, does anyone care if I spoil what the fuck like Spice is in Dune? That it's basically worm poop.
Yeah.
That's my favorite, is that this worm shit is like the fucking dust of the galaxy or the universe. And I'm like, I love sci-fi writers. They're just fucking crazy. They're like, yeah, this giant worm shit is very important and can help you transcend time and space. And everyone's like, cool, okay, we'll harvest their poop.
It reminds me of this Futurama episode where everyone's drinking Slurm, and it turns out the Slurm is like the basically the same thing from like a giant alien queen, and it's like she's just squeezing it out into glasses that they're selling to people. So yeah, I love when sci-fi does that. It's like,
God, it's so good.
Wild.
It's just so good. And like, that story is so serious, and the movies take it so seriously, but I'm just like giggling because I'm like, it's just so silly. I love it, but it's a little silly. If you think about a lot of fantasy like too hard, it is just fucking silly. But I guess that's the point. Anyway. So that was Prisoners. So if you're trying to watch something kind of like the feel-bad movie of your evening, and don't let the 2.5-hour runtime dissuade you, I promise you it does not feel that long at all.
Do you remember when
should watch
they were marketing
happy.
You really should. But do you remember they were marketing The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo as the feel-bad movie of Christmas?
Yeah, guess who saw that in a movie theater with her grandmother?
Wow.
Because we loved the books, and like, I've seen some crazy shit with my grandmother in theaters, let me tell you something. This bitch loves seeing crazy shit with me. But we saw the American remake in theaters, and there's a couple points where I was like... But then, there's a point where, Lisbeth wears a shirt in the movie that says, fuck you, you fucking fuck, and my grandma leans over and goes, I want that shirt. So, like, that should tell you who she is as a person.
Yes.
I love her so deeply, but it's still really awkward watching those movies with her, no matter how cool she is. And now I cannot remember if I'm making this up. I feel like she has made comments about me looking like Lisbeth Salander after getting my nose pierced. And I was like, that's a compliment. And she's like, I suppose you're right. And I was like, yeah, but if I look like her, hell yeah. Anyway.
Wow.
Oh my god. Well, that does it for this week's Little Cuts. Terry, who are we talking to on Monday?
So we are talking with filmmaker Bomani J. Story. His debut feature film, The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster, is in theaters and on demand as of the posting of this episode. Mary Beth talked about it out of South by. I've seen it since then. I love this movie. It is basically taking the Frankenstein mythos and really doing a good job adapting it, I will say. And we
modernize it in probably one of the best ways we've ever seen it adapted into like a modern context, and really understands like the core of what that story is.
That's exactly, we talk a little bit about that because like there's been a lot of adaptations of this type of story, and a lot of times I don't think they get exactly what Mary Shelley was doing with that, and I think this one does a really great job with it. And it's a really good movie. It's out on demand or in theaters, and we're talking with him on Monday about the original The Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974.
We're finally talking about the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. In the almost 4 years we've been doing this podcast, someone finally brought it, and let me tell you, it is such a good, smart, incredible conversation. Bomani is just like very funny and very smart, and it's just like a bunch of lit nerds and horror nerds nerding out about lit and like weird horror. It's very good.
We only had him for like an hour, and it was really funny because we were having such a good conversation that we just kept trying to push it a little bit further as much as we possibly could.
We went a little over time. But that's not our fault. He was just a really good conversation.
He was great.
Stop having cool people make movies. Just kidding. Never stop.
Never stop.
And we are not doing a series. We're still not doing a series because we are so busy with a million things. So, but obviously we are consuming plenty of content. So whatever. The listeners, you've heard from us. We want to hear from you. Did you watch a film we watched, or played Diablo, or read one of the books, or excited for one of the books I read? You should let us know. Or if suggestions for books I should be reading, and Terry, let us know. We're looking for good horror, thriller, creepy book recs. So any of that, you can send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us directly on Twitter. I am at MB McAndrews.
And I'm McGailey Dreadful.
And of course, don't forget to follow the podcast on Twitter at Scarred Podcast.
And please don't forget to review, rate, and subscribe. And again, we have a Patreon. We have a new episode coming out for Fresh Wounds. And I'm really enjoying the stuff the conversations that we're having. So hopefully you guys will sign up for it and help support us. So thank you.
Thank you. And also, thank you to Eric Power for our artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for our music. And thank you again to all of you for listening. Please stay safe out there. But most importantly, stay creepy.
And until next time.